So, Luton lost 4-1 at home against Burnley last night in the Championship. In today's video, I'm here to give you 5 things which I believe we learnt from that game. But before I do, please can we drop a like on today's video. The more likes we get, the better the video does. Comment below what you learnt from the game yesterday. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section of the video. And let me know if you're looking forward to Portsmouth away this weekend. Subscribe if you are new. We're growing like crazy at the moment, so I do appreciate all the support you guys are giving me. So, number 1. I think we learnt that Zach Nelson is ahead of PELLY in the starting 11 team selections. The fact that Zach Nelson, one of our very own, is playing ahead of someone, regardless of what your opinion is of PELLY, someone who is a senior pro, who's played over 300 times in his career, who's played in the Championship before for many seasons, is getting picked behind, well, is getting played over one of our very own in Zach Nelson. This shows to me that, 1, Edwards was telling the truth, that he is willing to give our youngsters opportunities this season in regards to Zach Nelson and Joe Johnson. But 2, he doesn't believe PELLY can play this system which he wants to play this season. Zach Nelson is probably a better passer on the ball. I felt at times he dealt with certain things extremely well. However, I feel like he needs some leaders around him. And that's the one thing which we're missing in this team. We're missing leadership. When teams win promotion, they have leaders. Without Lockyer, we're missing a massive leader in this team. And it's clear for me to see we don't have it. Morris needs to step up if he wants to be a leader. Others need to step up and become a leader. I know what PELLY brings off the pitch, but I still think he does bring something on it. Regardless of your opinion on PELLY, we all know he ain't technically the best on the ball. He isn't the best passer, but he has energy, which I think sometimes we miss and we lack. He has that energy in the midfield. He isn't slow, which I don't believe some people actually think that, but they think he's slow. I don't think he is. I think defensively he is good off the ball. It's just on the ball, we know that. However, when PELLY is on it, he's on it. And he is a really good player at this level. He's definitely a Championship player in my opinion. And he's proven that over the years. But the fact that Zach Nelson's getting ahead of him in terms of starting speaks a lot of volume. So it just shows Nelson is ahead of him in the pecking order. Number 2. Subs. The lack of doing subs. When you go 3-1 down at home, you make a substitution. You do something and you do it like instantly. Rob Edwards came out after the game last night and said that he looked at his bench and he didn't think anyone on the bench could improve what was happening. Whether they can improve or not, I still think you should make subs. I don't think you should keep players on the pitch who are not performing well for the sake of it. Morris and Adebayo were poor last night. Why not just give Joe Taylor, Woodrow an opportunity? Give someone else a go. You brought on Andros Townsend, but then within 30 seconds we conceded the 4th. It was too late before you even brought Andros on. And there's rumours that Andros could be actually leaving to go to Turkey, as I read this morning. So you've got to be making these subs quicker. But the fact that he looked over to his bench and he didn't think any of them could improve what was happening, for me, it shows and it tells us that he doesn't believe we've got enough quality on that bench, which is quite worrying because you can't go into a season and you don't believe you've got the quality in terms of your backups, because your starting 11s ain't always going to win you a game of football. Your bench players are going to win you games. So that is quite a concern if he doesn't think our bench could improve anything from what happened last night. And if I'm Joe Taylor and I can't play in a team that's losing 3-1, 4-1 at home at times, and I've got loads of clubs looking at me and want me to be in their team and play me week in, week out, there's only one door on winning to open. I'm not going to fight for a position if that's available to me. So that's something to also consider. Number 3, I thought Walters last night was quite good and I think deserves a little bit of a shout out. Walters, we signed from Arsenal. I believe he's a wing back by trade. I don't believe he's a centre half as a natural centre half. And I feel like when these players that are returning from injury are fit to play, I don't think you see Walters as a right-sided centre-half. I could be wrong. Maybe we're training him and repositioning him as a footballer to play in as a right-sided centre-back. But for me, he does look like he is a wing-back. There was elements to his game last night when he was on the right side and he was taking players on and he was putting crosses into the box. And for me, it looked clear that he was a wing-back. I really like him. I think defensively he done quite well. He was up against a few decent players. Sometimes he won his battle, sometimes he didn't. But same again with Zach Nelson, like I mentioned earlier in the video. He also needs leadership beside him to, just to help him guide through the games. He's still a young lad. He's inexperienced. He hasn't played much football. But what I've seen from him in particular is quite positive compared to what I saw from Kapore last season. Both players were inexperienced, coming from bigger Premier League sides. Walters definitely has potential, and under our coaching and under more game time, I do think he will improve as the season goes on. The same with other players, of course, but Walters definitely looks like someone special. And I thought he deserved to be highlighted last night. I know he conceded 4 and he was involved in that, but I don't think all those goals were his fault. There were a few that we could have done better with, but I thought he, in particular, did extremely well. The fourth thing which I feel like we learnt yesterday is Ogbeni, and it's been mentioned a few times now, he isn't a wing back, and it goes back to the Walters point. Play Walters as the wing back and push Ogbeni further forward. He isn't. Chio's just, I look at him and we're just not playing to his strengths, and whether or not that's benefit the team or not, I'm not too sure. For me, Chio is better at the ball at his feet, driving at players, using that pace and getting balls into the box. We need to relook at that. But the reason why Chio is playing wing back is because, again, we're short at the back. We've got players injured. So players are playing out of position in this system, which Rob Edwards is reluctant to change because we're waiting for players to come back. It needs to be sorted. It needs to be sorted. I'm trying to be positive here, but I'm watching the game and I'm seeing players like not being able to do what they can do because they're playing in positions which they're not familiar with. It's obvious at times. And Benny as a wing back, I just don't like it. I don't like him that far back. I like him further forward when he can cause problems, because no defender wants to be chasing him. No defender. He was one of the fastest players in the Premier League last year. We need to use him as a real asset this year. We need to use him extremely well. Number 5. I think it's proved, and I've said it again and again and again, we need to make signings and we need to make them quick. Apparently we've got a few players on trial, but again, they are free signings. They're not permanent transfers. So I don't know. I really don't know. I honestly, I can't believe we found it so difficult this summer. With all the money we've got, and we're the richest the club's ever been, and we've found it extremely difficult this summer to get players in. We've spent £0, barely any money in terms of bringing Walters and Baptiste in, but yet we're struggling to spend money. Whether or not clubs are quoting us more money than they should, I think at times you need to just open that checkbook out and just sign the check. I feel like now you've got to do it. If last night wasn't enough proof that we had to do something, then I don't know what will. I don't like what Edwards said after the game about accepting it and move on. We shouldn't be accepting it because we knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen because it was obvious. It really was obvious. But hey, let's try and stay positive for Portsmouth away, which is also another difficult game. But those are my thoughts. Those are my 5 things which I felt we learnt from the game yesterday against Burnley. Let me know what you felt you learnt from the game yesterday against them. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Don't know what video it would be. Hopefully it'd be a new signing video, but I feel like I'm kidding myself here. But yeah, I'll see you guys soon.